the party. How do you generally decide what the right amount of government is then? I mean, you want to be in the government, so the government has to do something. Is it really just on a case-by-case basis of what's the lightest touch?
It's always okay. I don't know, have you ever run for office?
Not yet.
All right. One of the reasons why it's so hard, there's many reasons why. One is raising money, obviously. The other one's time. But the third one is understanding all the policies. And when you begin to understand how much government intrudes in our life, it's depressing. And I mean that truly. Most people have no idea how much government intrudes in our life and how much it actually hurts. It's depressing. I have policy calls every week with my policy team. We on the phone usually anywhere from an hour to 2 hours every week in discussing policy issues. Sometimes I'm depressed when I'm done because it's so bad. There's no good answer because government problem has been solved with government Band-Aid, which has been solved by government Band-Aid. So if you pull off government Band-Aid, you have 3 more broken Band-Aids underneath it that sometimes make things worse. Mm-hmm. Sometimes taking government off makes it worse because of 3 more Band-Aids that are all terrible. Sometimes you have to just say, I can't touch that. I just have to let it stay there. And you have someone who goes, but Larry, that's wrong. They're righteous. That's evil. We have to stop it. There are 3,000 things I have to fix. Some I just can't put on my radar. So yes, it's always case by case. To try to fix government is a Herculean task that no one could do.
Yeah. What do you make of the states like New York that have gotten so away from the ideas, forget the policies, forget the 3,000 problems, right? Mm-hmm. But just the basic ideas of why liberty and individualism and limited government and your own capacity to control your property and things of that nature, the states that have gotten so far away from that. I mean, I guess that's why you're running in the first place.
Yeah, it's culture. People ask all the time. They say, Larry, what are your first 100 days going to be like? And what are you going to change? They think I'm going to walk into New York State as governor and wave my magic wand or bring up I'm the king now, everything changes. Of course not. Of course not. I wouldn't want to if I could, right? I can't, and I wouldn't want to if I could. That kind of fast change makes people afraid. And here's the reason. To be clear, it's all about fear. When people are afraid, they make bad decisions. That's simply human nature. Fear makes bad decisions. Fear is the root of aggression. Government, at the end of it, is law. At the end of every law, there's a couple minor exceptions, but almost every law, at the end of every one, is a guy or a gal with a gun to put you in a cage. Which means, by default, law is force. Government is force. Now, should we never use force? No, you can use force. Defend your rights, property, you can use force. But when you are afraid, your first step is force. So when you are afraid, your first step is government. And that's what happens in the states like New York, California. The first answer is government. It's the old, there ought to be a law. Yeah. I don't like this, there ought to be a law. This is wrong, there ought to be a law. And that culture has been part of us for at least 50 years, if not more. I mean, just decades upon decades, it's been that way. I used to do the same thing, right? Oh, someone's smoking in front of me. There ought to be a law. Yeah. I used to think the same way until I was enlightened and go, oh, no, that's a bad idea. Why would I do that? Yeah. But I thought I was righteous. And the thing that we have to remember is we also idealize the idea of democracy. We idolize. Well, we voted. There's a law. The story I love, I tell this all the time. I was speaking to an IP attorney, intellectual property attorney, and she was talking to me about intellectual property law. And I'm making this up. I don't remember the actual rules. So she said something, and again, I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to just say numbers so that we have some. After copyright law is, 95 years after the person's death. It was something like that. And I said, 95 years after their death? She goes, yeah. I said, what a terrible law. It's horrible. She said, yeah, Larry, but it's a law. And I said, I know. I'm not doubting that you're a lawyer. I'm sure you know the law. I'm sure that's true. And it's a bad law. She said, but Larry, you understand, we had to change our laws to match international law. So now we match international law. And I said, great, that's a really bad international law. She looked at me like, oh. She was angry at me. Yeah. Because in her eyes, law equals righteousness. Right. They're the same. There's no difference. International law equals extra righteousness. It's amazing. Yeah. So she was mad at me because in her eyes, I was a heretic. That's how she saw me. Now, she didn't make the law. It wasn't her idea. She was not a congressperson who did it. No, she's simply a priest of the law. And I'm a heretic. And she was mad at me. Now, you might think, well, that's only lawyers. Guy at the Department of Buildings in New York. I'm talking to him. This guy's educated, smart, credentialed. I say to him, I'm kind of curious about the landmarking law. And if you may not know, landmarking in New York City is when you can actually, a community can say this property is landmarked and now nothing can be done to that property unless the community agrees. Lots of people want it. They want to protect their community so developers can't come in. They do it all the time.
Is that just for a building, or is that can it be for like a group of buildings or a park?
I think it's one building at a time.
Yeah, okay.
I'm pretty sure it's one property at a time.
Okay.
But I'm sure they do it in groups, but I think it's one property at a time.
Yeah.
So you can also have that happen to you without you wanting. The community can just landmark your property. That can happen. And it has happened a couple times. So now the community landmarks your property. So I told the guy, I said, how is that okay? I don't understand how that works. And the guy told me, Larry, it's the same law we use for when a building is condemned. And I said, that makes sense, right? Condemning makes sense. If a building collapses, thousands could die. Totally makes sense. I see a victim, got that law. I'm in. Good. When it comes to landmarking, where's the victim? He went, no, Larry, you don't understand. It's the same law we use for condemning. I said, I get that. Totally get it.
Yeah.
Where's the victim? Larry, it's the same law. Because in his eyes, again, law equals righteousness. This is a mindset we have for many Americans. And we have to break that mindset. The idea that just because it's a law doesn't make it righteous by default. Lots of laws have been bad and been overturned and are wrong. Lots of them are. Law doesn't make it righteous. But we say it. Well, we voted. Now it becomes okay now. Great. I vote. You give me all your stuff. Awesome. I guess you have to give me all your stuff now.
You can't have all my stuff.
Yeah, well, there we go. But I voted. So
we got a problem.
I try to tell people when I go through New York State, I'm trying to change the concept of government. Right now, government, most of the time, is just this. It enforces the will of the majority. I want government's primary purpose to be to instead defend the rights of the individual. Specifically when you have localization from the local bullies who will pop up. Because local bullies will always pop up. But now, local bullies are validated by the big government because you voted. So local bullies have more power than ever. Instead, the state government should be defending the individual against local bullies, against eminent domain, against property rate, tax hikes, against speeding tickets that are $400, $500 for a speeding ticket. They should be defending them against the local bullies, but we're not.
All right, so let's